Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. PK, big game Friday night. The Mammoth get their first taste of playoff victory. It's 1-1. And, the cool thing about the wins, they feel great, but also all it does, it just cranks up the expectations. All right, well, if they can get it in Vegas, then they can get it in Utah. And why can't they get 2 and be up 3-1? There's a real chance to advance here. Expectations are funny that way. It was a pretty satisfying win in Game 2, but I think it just builds the hype and builds the pressure for Game 3.
Yeah, but I don't think it has anything to do with the venue. I'm not impressed with the game, whether it be in Salt Lake or Timbuktu or Las Vegas. I think that the most important thing now is the narrative, as they say, is over about the youth and inexperience. I'm done with that. That doesn't matter. This team is not going to lose because they lack experience compared to some of the guys on the Golden Knights. They showed in Game 2, and then you can argue to a good extent, they showed in Game 1. Obviously, they didn't get that game. But in Game 2, they did. And they showed we can not only compete, we can win. And it's not about showing to ding-dongs like me sitting on their lazy boy watching the game. It is to themselves. And to themselves, they know that they are at least just as good or better than Las Vegas. And that's all you need to be right now. Worry about second round if it comes. And so when they take the ice Friday, sure, I think that in the beginning it's going to be electric and they're going to get an emotional boost about playing at home. I understand that. But at the same time, these guys on the other team, they're going to take the ice and they're going to hear all the noise and the smoke and all the bells and whistles that they have planned for the game and shirts on the back of the seats, whatever it might be. And that in turn jacks them up too, because they like to play in front of rowdy environments. In fact, you've heard many, and I know you literally have heard this, as we all have, that there's nothing more satisfying in terms of going and quieting the crowd,
Yep.
right? And so that gets you pumped up. So I think that sort of flushes each other out is what I'm trying to say, and it's a bit of a wash. The most important thing to me is looking in their eyes on the television and the way they played and the emotions that they were showing, that they've captured the flag in that way. They've climbed the hill. Now it's about who goes out, who plays, who takes advantage of breaks, because we know one went in off a skate. Great for the Mammoth. They were pressuring the goal, and they can take that opportunity to use that advantage. And then they scored, and the one dude, what was it? I call him Barbasol, but that's not his name.
Barbashev.
Yeah, he's within seconds. It's amazing to me how they can go, and then within seconds, one team scores, and the others just boom, and the momentum is just stalled. Well, don't have some turnovers. Don't give the opposition easier opportunities. I don't know that you really ever have an easy opportunity. I suppose you do sometimes, but don't give them easier opportunities based off of turnovers, and you get in a numbers game there where it's to your disadvantage. So that's the thing that I took from Game 2, is that I'm done with the inexperience. Now it's all about playing and who makes the plays.
The inexperience is an easy thing to point to at the start of the season. It's not a bad thing to point to because we have seen times where it's really paid off. But I think a couple things have happened here in the first 2 games that, to your point, make that storyline not an important storyline in this series. Maybe in some other series, maybe for some other teams, but with these 2 teams in this series, a couple things jump out. One, the turnover, and like you say, it's 1-1. It doesn't seem like – how long is it going to take to get that next goal? And not only does the next one happen at 2-1, but then the Mammoth give it right back at 2-2. But it's Sergachev. It wasn't an inexperienced guy who gave the puck away. It's a guy who won 2 cups before he came to Utah. So experience isn't the storyline on that goal. And to grab the momentum and then to give it right back like that so quick, that was a big storyline in that game. And then I think the other thing is Cooley's 21. He's about to turn 22. Gunther was 22 for most of the season, but he just had his birthday a couple weeks ago, so he's 23 now. These are the guys we're talking about who are talented but young and inexperienced. Well, Gunther scored, and Cooley scored in both games.
Yeah.
So the young and inexperienced guys, they are delivering. They're not experienced anymore. Cooley scored twice, and he had another move in the first game that just the stick handle, the puck handle, just unreal, beating multiple defenders, and then he just couldn't beat the goaltender at the end. But, I mean, he can do this. And I think Vegas knows he can do it. That's why we're all lip reading, I'm going to bleep and kill you. And that you have to say that because he scares you and you're trying to intimidate him and bully him. And he wouldn't be bullied. He scored. Nobody beat him up. Nobody killed him. They did trip him, I guess, for a penalty. But he scored the game-winning goal with 6 minutes left. So I think the thing that's on display, and this goes hand in hand with the experience, Vegas is experienced, but they're also older. And who's younger and faster and more athletic? Late in that game, the Mammoth were just blowing past the Golden Knights. And the odd man rushes, the transition moments, the fast breaks for you basketball fans. The speed was on full display there. Who's the faster team? It's the Mammoth. Yeah, maybe some of that's tied into the youth, and you just take the inexperience with it. So what? You're blowing by guys.
I think that for Cooley, it is totally Cooley to be Cooley right now. And they know it. I know it. I know they know it. They know I know it in terms of quality. Now, it's out there. He is a great hockey player, whether he's 21 or 31. The fact that he's 21 is super Cooley because then that means that he should have some great times ahead, as should the team. And the Bill Armstrong's talked about how this team right now may not necessarily be built to win it all. Their best teams are forthcoming, right? And that's out of, I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said. The thing about that is we're not talking about down the line right now. This team right now, today, when they take the ice on Friday, is built to win Game 3, and it's built to win the first-round series against the Golden Knights. That's what matters. That's in the moment. I fully believe that. I believe that they put the team together, and that was the stated goal to get to the playoff. Well, the next stated goal was to win the first round. So here we are, and they're right where they need to be. Obviously, where they want to be is 2-0, but they don't necessarily need to be there at that point. They need to be here. And here they are with this Golden Knight opportunity.
Oh.
Look at you go.
And they have this Golden Friday night opportunity. See, I am willing. There's a lot of people over there on the other side on the round ball that don't really like me in that organization, but I'm willing to help market it, right? And Golden Friday night opportunity. I'm giving you that and run with it. That's what you have to be able to do that. And, if they win, and I like the interviews they were doing is that, okay, we've won Game 2. That's all that is. That's all you did is win Game 2. You certainly didn't win the series, and I don't really care about ice advantage and all that stuff. I want to have play advantage, not venue advantage, because that can only carry you so far. And the same thing on the flip side. If I'm Vegas, I'm not sweating bullets over here by any stretch. I mean, they expected a close series, and so far that looks like what we're going to get, which for me, that's what I want as a fan. I want to turn on the TV not knowing what's going to happen, and that's going to keep me enthralled. I'm not going to be bored because I don't know what's going to happen, and anything can happen. In my mind, and I don't know what the odds are by any stretch, I don't care, but it's not a long shot that either team wins. So for the Mammoth, do what you can do, play a little bit better, because I think as the series progresses, you're probably going to have to play better. But the most important thing I took from Game 2 is individually, talking about Cooley, using him as the example, this guy believes that right now I'm at the top of my game. And then collectively, these guys are not starting, but definitely believing in themselves that they could win.
that whole home court, home field, home ice advantage thing, we talk about it in every sport, but I think statistically over time, the two sports where it matters the least are hockey and baseball. Other sports, you can see a little bit of a baked-in advantage to the home team, but I think when you get to hockey and baseball, just not that big a factor. There's so many other things that are more important.
Yeah.
I think it's just the math. You don't want to be down 2-0 and have to win 4 out of 5. That's the math you're trying to avoid.
I understand that, and I buy that because that becomes overwhelming. It's just that I am so hesitant to bring in anything about home court, home ice, because I don't want my guys or my gals even thinking about that.
Yeah,
I want them thinking about the focus is playing to the utmost of your ability level on that particular, whether it's game 3, game 4, whatever game it might be, rather than, we're home. Because you cannot let up whatsoever. You let up, and you'll get beat 5-1.
Yes. And I think that what we've seen in this series, what it really comes down to, and if the Mammoth has learned anything, and it, I guess you know it, but it's different to actually do it and feel it and experience it. But this should be a close series and a long series. We heard that from other people, not just local homers here. Other people are like, it looks kind of close. It looks like a long series. And they are close games. And so really, you can play really well for a long period of time, but that third period, so much is going to ride on it. And look at these first two games. The Mammoth are up 2-1, but they give up 2 goals, and they give up the third with the empty netter. But those first 2 goals, they lost the third period, so they lost the game. This game's 2-2. They did stuff right. They did stuff wrong. It's 2-2 going to third. You got to win the third period. They won the third period, so they won the game. So their ability to get focused at a higher level and compete at a higher level, and Cooley in his postgame was talking about how awesome it is, and it is different, and now he knows it because he's done it, and he loves it, and he's apparently pretty good at it right away, judging by what he's done in the first 2 games. But now when they go out on the ice, I think they've got to think that. Like, it's going to be a slugfest. It'll probably be close going to third, and we got to win the third period. And if they keep winning the third period, they're going to win this series. You might win the third period and still lose a game. You might dig yourself enough of a hole. But I think on the whole, it's going to be close. It's going to come right down to the end. These next games, whether there's 3, 4, 5 of them, I think they're going to look a lot like the first 2. I'm going to be real surprised if we're sitting here watching and breaking down 4-1 and 6-1 games when we get back in here. It just doesn't seem like this is how it's built. I think Vegas knows they're slower. They were doing the graphics and showing how they had 3 guys on the blue line. They're basically just clogging it up. It's no different than we've been sitting here talking about the Jazz and teams that have come in and clogged up the paint for years. Well, they're clogging up the ice in the blue line because if they get in space, the Mammoth are just skating past them.
Yeah. I also believe that it put a little bit of doubt into Vegas's mind. This is literally their first loss since the coaching change, right?
Right.
And so now
10 games in.
Right.
They had an overtime loss, but it's the first time they've been beaten in the regulation 60 minutes.
And what does that mean? It doesn't necessarily mean, oh my gosh, we're up against it. It could mean, hey, we're up against it. We got to step up our game.
Yeah.
And it could mean that, and that could be a little bit of a refresher for them. That's what I'm saying is I really don't know. I can't handicap and say I've got a feel for this, I've got a feel for that. Not that I'm a hockey expert by any stretch, but having watched both games in their entirety and obviously watched the Mammoth the entire season to a good extent, that I'm not sure which way to go. How is it going to play out? Which means it's basically a 50-50 toss-up type of game, or series for that matter. So who is going to make the plays? And the reason why I say I'm over the inexperience, I'm more about the talent. And talent, I think, is going to be the deciding factor. And limiting mistakes, I think sports to a degree, Majerus always used to talk about that. Basketball is a game of mistakes, and the team that has fewer mistakes is probably going to win. So don't allow some stupid stuff that makes it hard, especially in this sport, especially in the playoffs, where points, or in this case goals, are hard to come by, and it has to be a similar intense focus the whole time. And because of the fact that they have these various lines, you should be able to focus for that relatively short span of time. That's why it makes it so fun to be able to turn on the TV come Friday night to see what's going to happen and then go from there. And I do think, I agree with you. The team that wins a 2-1 has a 2-1 advantage, clearly has that advantage. It's not necessarily where the game is played. It's the fact that, hey, I only need to win 2 more, you need to win 3 more, and then so on as the series goes.
You do sound like not just Majerus old school, but it's like just go back to the NFL playoffs where your coaches say that. Well, in college football for that matter too. Just limit the mistakes. Defense is at a premium. Goals are at a premium. But I think that's the encouraging thing about the first 2 games because you're right. It is about talent. And the young guys who are supposed to score goals, they're scoring. Yeah, and I think that obviously we have people on this show who know way more about the sport than you and I know, but there's still some stuff that you and I can figure out because we've been sports fans for a long time, and a lot of our listeners can figure out. As you were talking about it when you covered the Kings. The games are on, you listen to the interviews, you get some of the basics down. 2 things that haven't gone the Mammoth way here that ought to even out a little bit over the course of the series. There'll be big benefits if they do. One, they're 1-1, and Clayton Keller – who's their leading scorer, right? Nobody had more points than that guy. He had over 60 assists in the regular season. He hadn't done anything yet. I can't believe he's going to go through a whole series without doing anything. There ought to be a Clayton Keller game or 2 in here, and that ought to work in favor of the Mammoth. And the other thing is they haven't been good on the power play. They're 0 for 5 right now, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out, well, that's not good enough and it needs to even out. Now, they were converting 30% of their power plays when they were on fire late in the season. They probably won't do that. That's probably a little too high an expectation to set. But if they could just score on 15 or 20% of their power plays, it would be different. Because that's just, over the course of 5 power plays, it means like 1 more, just 1. And 1 goal would be a big deal in any of these games. Because like you said, goals are at a premium. So between the power play and Keller, there ought to be something good out there. I can't believe they're going to go 0 for on both of those.
Well, that's where my PK comes in.
Yeah.
And I love myself some PK. So it might be harder because of the intensity from the defensive perspective. The penalty kill becomes more paramount. So make sure that you, when you get in that situation, that your penalty kills are at least even to, if you don't score power play, then don't allow Vegas to power play you. And we saw that. I think the first goal was a power play, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this team seems to be really good at this. But then I like the way the Mammoth responded going forward, and I like that. Who was it? Was it the referee when he's making the call and somebody yelled? You heard on the mic, "I warned you."
It was the referee. He's hot mic. I warned you. It's like okay,
come on, man. I told you. Don't be blaming me. I warned you. That's up to you.
That made it a 4-on-4 because they had a penalty and they could have had Mammoth could have had another power play there and they gave it away. And it was a great cut over the bench, Andre Jorny, and he just kind of stamped his foot on the back of the bench like, oh, we just gifted him that. What are we doing? He didn't want to be too negative, but he couldn't really let it go either. He was kind of stuck in a little bit of a middle ground there.
Yeah. So I think that from the marketing standpoint of the team moving to Salt Lake, this is about as good as they could hope for. Be halfway decent, contend the first year, get the fans involved to an extent, and then the second year, get there, go to where, not only where you get there, go to where it's a drivable place so fans can go down there because we see them when the team scores. They show the Mammoth fans in their gear, and so they can experience it. I don't know that if you would have said, this is the way it's going to be in the second year, would anybody associated with the franchise, and if they can speak truthfully, say, no, I want more. Of course you want more, but this is a great setup and a great foundation that is being laid here for this franchise going forward. This has to be comparable in a manner to when the Jazz broke through after moving to Salt Lake and getting in the postseason for the first time.
Yeah, I would say that this is better because it happened more quickly. I think to your point, yes, they want more because everybody wants more and it's human nature to want more. But if you'd said this is your timeline, I think they would have looked at it and said, okay, that's a good timeline. That's good. We can live with that.
Yeah, but I think that the Mammoth were in position to have a better timeline.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, the Jazz were not busy winning; they were busy selling high draft pick spots and the number 3 pick in the draft so that they could stay afloat financially. They weren't. They were trying to build a winner. They were literally selling the pick that became Dominique Wilkins to meet payroll.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not comparable in that regard. The Jazz fans had to wait a little longer. I think they had 4 or 5 bad years before.
But when it happened, they knew the nucleus was of the age that it was going to continue. Got the same type of situation here. The nucleus is of the age that it's going to continue. We would all be shocked if we're sitting here this time next year and this team is not in the postseason.
DJ and PK, big game Friday night. Listen to it right here on The Zone. Mike Folta with a call at 7:30. Adrian Daniel will be on the air with the pregame show at 6:30. Hockey night in Utah on 97.5 The Zone. Your home for Utah Mammoth hockey. DJ and PK, when we come back, everything you missed in this show. Yes, the Slacker headlines are next. Stay with us.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top.
Slacker Radio headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800. Visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. Earlier in the show, we had Evan Brennan on, NFL Certified Contract Advisor. He's an agent for the JL Sports Agency. And PK, he talked about a lot of issues. There's a lot of info in there. The NFL draft is really important. I think it's very interesting off the top. I find myself the second and third day just checking to see if local guys got drafted. But I know that there's a lot of value buried in the middle of that. And I got to say, I was intrigued when he said he'd already taken 10 calls this morning before he came on with us at the top of the 8 o'clock hour.
Oh, yeah. I'm not surprised that he's been feeling that amount of calls because this is an important time. This is the foundation of your franchise. If you're good, get better. If you're great, keep it going. If you're under 500, get over 500 and all that stuff. And the way you're going to do it, the most logical way you're going to do it is over the course of the next 3 days. And then next year, the next 3 days, blah, blah, blah. You got to build upon that. And there's other things that go into it, clearly, obviously. I mean, Sam Darnold was not drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, so you've got to have some smart moves there in acquisitions. But this is, I really believe this is the foundation piece. As far as, you know, the second and third rounds, yeah, it's something that I check. But even the first round, I get antsy. It just seems like it lasts so long. It seems like it's tedious.
So long.
And I was talking with some guys yesterday, and they're saying, you know, well, they have to do it because somebody takes somebody at 6 and you didn't expect that or what have you. Yeah, I understand that. But I also think it's a TV show and they want to draw it out.
I know. And I think even taking 10-minute picks, well, it used to be 15. Are they down to 10 now, Yak? You're hardcore into this. Is it 10 minutes
it
between
seems
picks now?
like
or
it's
still
a
15?
half hour.
They changed it to 8 minutes
For a
this
while
year.
it was 15.
It's too long.
And it was 4 picks in an hour, 5 if you were lucky.
Yeah,
It was
and
like, oh
so
my
they've gone
gosh.
to 8 minutes, and I actually read a story last week that NFL GMs are already complaining about an 8-minute time frame.
I got to keep it moving.
That's-
You should
I
have
think
30
that's where the
seconds
TV
and
show
get up
comes in.
there.
8's better for TV, but the teams are like, oh, we need 10 or 12 to sort it out. But 8 is better as a TV show.
Yeah, I would like to keep it moving. There's only so many things I want to hear in between drafts, picks, and then, you know, the next best available. Well, only one person is going to get taken on the next best available, so the same guys are going to still be on the next best available. It's like The Price is Right. I think they should clear the contestant row every time. Why do those people get to stay there the whole time, the entire show?
Get 5 chances.
No, you get one shot, you're out. Then we do it again. It's a
4
TV
more.
show.
Listen to Evan Brennan wherever you get your podcast. It was really good. He talked, he thinks 7 to 10 guys from 4 different schools can be drafted. Some of it pretty obvious at the top of the draft. We know there's some guys who he has questions about, so we'll just see how it plays out. But I think Chase Roberts right at the top. There are a lot of these guys getting drafted. A lot of them are local high school products, PK. There was a time where guys got drafted, but it was guys who'd come in from out of state, and we see them for, 2, 3, 4 years, and then they're gone. And this is a different deal. Some of these guys, a lot of these guys actually have played football locally in high school.
Spencer Fano leading the list. Yeah.
Yes. Spencer Fano, Logan Fano, Jack Kelly, Chase Roberts. Keep going.
They're on the list, but I think Spencer is expected to go the highest. And it
he
has
will be
been
the first
that way.
one. I did see for the first time I saw a mock draft where he's out of the top 10 that he went 11th. 11th to the Dolphins as a guard.
Yeah, I have no idea about that. But the fact is, if you're going to go, you're going to be the 11th pick. And when you're 12 years old, son, when you're first year eligible in the NFL draft, you're going to be the 11th pick. What do you think? Oh, I think that
Sign me up.
Yeah, of course. And then that doesn't guarantee anything, even at that level. But go do your thing. I have no reason to think that he, barring injury, is not going to have at least a 5, if not a 10-year NFL career.
The big news in the NBA, several good storylines in the playoffs last night, but the biggest one, Victor Wembanyama hitting the floor hard, diagnosed with a concussion after a face-first fall. He only played 12 minutes in the game. The Blazers took advantage of his absence and won 106-103, so the series is tied 1-1. His status is officially to be determined for Game 3, but with a concussion, a week and a half wouldn't be unusual, so I think it'd be a little surprising if he played in Game 3 or 4, but we'll see what the doctors say. Without him, a very different team. It's another way to confirm his greatness, PK.
Oh, yeah, Big Vic. It's already, what's he in his 3rd season now? He's already proven that he's another great player that's taken at the top of the draft, literally. And so it's a major blow for this team not to have him. Clearly, that's stating the ultimate obvious. I do think, though, at least now they can game plan if he's not available. And so it's not something on the fly. They can find ways to adjust, I guess. But that he's an all-league caliber player, right? As far as him and Jokic at the 5s. Am I missing somebody that can be
No, it's him and Jokic.
Considered really
it's
good?
It's him and Jokic. And I think the next best player is SGA, and he's obviously, a different size and a different kind of player.
Yeah,
but
I'm
those
just talking
are
about the 5s. And, Embiid never plays, so he's can't put him on the list. That's a major blow. If you told me he barely plays and then they lose, I say, okay, I'm not that surprised. You tell me that Philadelphia has that type of night against Boston, I'm surprised.
I was surprised. Philly beat Boston 111-97. VJ Edgecombe, the 3rd pick in the draft, 30 points and 10 rebounds. And we've been talking about how the top 5 teams got 5 good players. It doesn't look like there's any busts in the top 5. It's possible that in 5 or 10 years, if we draft this, the same 5 would be the top 5. Now, maybe somebody else will blow up and we'll want to move them in there. But it doesn't look like there are any busts. And Edgecombe, my gosh. The thing that sticks with me from last year's draft is how many Ute and Cougar fans watched him because they're watching the Big 12 and are like, that's the Jazz guy. And when they're saying it, he's like 10 or 15 in mock drafts. And he just keeps climbing. And in the end, he's gone at number 3 and they have no chance to get him at number 5. He just flew right by him on the draft board. And for good reason. Look what he's doing. Everybody could see it. It's no fluke.
Yeah, I had him at 4 in my own because I would have had Ace Bailey at 3. And then Edgecombe, because he's got an NBA body. He's wasn't a string bean. Everybody needs to get stronger, blah, 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 when you're that young. But it seemed like he could come in and step in. And then with Embiid constantly being down and Paul George seeming like he's not the same player, the opportunity was going to be there with him and Maxey to have success right off the bat. Now, if I'm Boston, just like I said with Las Vegas, I'm not sweating bullets here. You still got to find a way to get 3 more. And certainly Boston is capable of winning it anywhere. And I would be surprised if Boston, with a Jason Tatum back and has been back for a good length of time to where he should have the rust off from missing the early part of the season. If they lose, that would be a shocker to me if they lose the series.
I would be really surprised if they lost. I think they're the favorite to come out of the East and go to the finals, and so to see them go down in the first round would really surprise me.
Yeah, I agree. Especially against a team that isn't even close to full strength.
It was a game. It happens. There were a lot more sweeps in the first round when it was best 3 out of 5, best 4 out of 7 demands a little more. So I'm not surprised if Philly took a game. Maybe I'm surprised they took that game, but
yeah.
The Lakers are up 2-0, and again, PK, it's LeBron has a great game, and guys who we view as role players. I mean, Marcus Smart, defensively, I don't think anybody questions him, but offensively, it's always been a little hit and miss with him, and maybe a little more miss than hit. And wow, 25 points, 5 of 7 from 3. I mean, he'd be an MVP candidate if he did this on a regular basis. He doesn't, but he did in this game. 25 points, 7 assists, and 5 steals. He had a massive game for them.
And Kennard was right there. Yeah,
He was. He wasn't as brilliant as he was in the first one, but he was still 23 points, 3 of 6 from 3. Hit all 4 of his free throws.
I thought he was really good.
Yeah, he's having a really good series.
6 boards, 3 steals. I'm looking at the stats right now. He's not an assist man, so he's never going to pile up those types of numbers. I thought LeBron just had a decent game. It wasn't anything like it was just, oh my gosh, LeBron. I mean, because he's really good, so we understand that. LeBron did what he's capable of doing, and
I think that's the wow factor. You're right. It's not like the dude's never gone for 28, 8, and 7 before, but that he can do it so effortlessly and quietly. And at the end of the night, 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. That's a massive contribution to a win. But you're right. He's had a bunch of better games, but it was still a really good game. I mean, he got to the free throw line a lot. His major contribution there, 10 of 14 at the line.
Smart and Kennard replaced Reeves and Doncic.
Yes. Yeah, if those two had gone for 25 and 23 and the Lakers had won the game, we wouldn't really think anything of it. Right. But it's Smart and Kennard, so we do think something of it.
It's funny that each team only had one guy off the bench score.
I know. I was at the bench, and can get so short. Now, they did play other guys, not big minutes, but 4 other guys for the Rockets played. Eason came off with 10 points in 27 minutes. And I don't know, 32 minutes, and it combined 0 for 11 shooting. Yikes.
And I always thought that was what was going to do them in. Once Van Vliet went down, their bench is pretty weak.
Right. And the Lakers bench 3 guys play 33 minutes, including the former Jazz man, Jared Vanderbilt, and they're a combined 0 for 6. And then Jackson Hayes gave him 6 points in 21 minutes, most of them at the line.
Yeah, I don't understand why Vanderbilt thinks he's a three-point shooter from the corner. I think I'd rather have Derek Favors shoot it.
Yeah. Vanderbilt's there for the energy and the rebounding. And he did give him 5 rebounds in 14 minutes.
I know, but I always see him take corner threes and miss them.
He missed 3 of them. Yeah, he missed 3. So I get your point. I'm not debating that, that's for sure. We spent a little bit of time this morning talking about Messi and Inter Miami tonight. America First Field, Real Salt Lake, a perfect 4-0 at home. And PK, it's a classic thing with the event is a big deal. Messi is just such a massive name. Brian Dunseth was on with us yesterday. You can listen wherever you get your podcasts. And he was talking about how Messi, not only the best active player, but he's even, in Brian's mind and Dunny's mind, he has surpassed Pele. He is the guy. So it's a huge show, and the circus is in town and all of that. The season will go on. The team has to, as Pablo Mastroni, I'm sure, will tell us next time he's on to the next game and how do you keep improving. But you can't ignore the show and the circus tonight.
Are you going to try to get an autograph?
No, I doubt I'll even be in the same room with him. I don't think it works like that, PK, as you know.
You can go down there at the end of the game.
I don't know that they'll do. We'll see what their media availability is.
Oh, he's got to talk. Come on.
We'll see what their media availability is and how they run that.
And if you tell them you want to talk to him, I think they'll bring him out.
Who? We'll see if they bring him into the post-game press conference. They usually don't bring in the visiting team, but they have sometimes. LAFC came in and was in the press room last year. So streaks. The Mets, 12 straight losses. How do you explain this? They're good enough to win one occasionally, but they blow a lead at home and lose 5-3 to Minnesota.
Well, Minnesota's Twitter handle put out a thing that said things you can get by the dozen: roses, eggs, and Mets losses.
So clever. Isn't it funny that for a long time, like newspaper writers and the media in general, but newspaper writers and headline writers specifically could take a lot of heat. That was across the line. That was too much. And now teams have their own social media account, and they just can't resist taking shots.
No decorum these days. And you're speaking from someone who's but a spiffy headline or two in my day.
Right? You ever take any heat for your headlines? I know you didn't get credit for some of them you thought were pretty clever.
By my own people.
Yeah, but did you take heat?
I think that Gordon gave me crap when he wrote that the series was over when the Jazz went up 1-0, and I put that in boldface to make sure that Jordan saw it.
Cubs have won 7 in a row. They beat the Phillies, who have lost 7 in a row. Despite Schwarber going deep. Doesn't seem to matter. Bees are on the air tonight. Tony Park's on the call. 7:50 on 1280 The Zone. The RSL game will be on 97.5 The Zone. DJ and PK, when we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Scotty G and the coach Friday from 10 to noon at Tim Dahle Nissan, 11155 South Jordan Gateway in South Jordan. That's coming up Friday. PK?
Yeah.
Breaking news this morning. The Kansas City Royals think they have a stadium deal. Crown Center
something?
Downtown.
Yeah.
You've been to that one, right? This will be one you'll have to – this will be a new stadium you have to check the box to get them all.
Yeah, but they haven't even broken ground, have they?
No, this is something to put out there, I don't know what it'll be, 3, 4, 5 years down the
Right.
line.
I mean, I'll probably be dead by then, so I won't be worried about it.
They've been at Kauffman Stadium in the Burbs for 50 years.
Hmm? Yeah.
And then we got people commenting San Diego, Pittsburgh, Seattle, Baltimore. Downtown baseball is the best.
Sure, but, the Mets
Dodger Stadium's not terrible?
Well, it's close to downtown. Philadelphia is close to downtown.
San Francisco? Close enough to downtown. You can walk it. It's not downtown, but you can walk it.
Yeah, depending on where you're coming from. But they have other public means of transportation, too, that can get you there. So I would say in the city rather than, literally downtown. I get it.
What's Arizona have? Is that right downtown?
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's absolutely.
Colorado is.
Colorado is close
Lodo.
enough. Yeah, it's at the the eastern end, but it's okay. There was one I was going to think of. Atlanta is not. They actually did the reverse. They moved out to the burbs with the Truist Park.
They did.
And I've told you about that. And I
Built
know
their own town around it.
That Steve Starks is very much aware of that, leading the cause and the charge to get the ballpark here for the Salt Lake and the Utah area, obviously. And
here wouldn't be downtown. It'd be close. It would kind of be a San Francisco situation.
Well, but I think that what you build around it can make it a portion, even if it's not literal. It's an entertainment center is good enough. I mean, Atlanta's off the charts.
Yeah.
People will go there.
But see, Atlanta literally went to the burbs and built a town around it, whereas Colorado and San Francisco didn't go exactly downtown, but they went close to downtown.
Close enough, yeah.
And then stuff has sprung up around it in both cases. And that's as opposed to like Chavez Ravine is close to downtown, but it's surrounded by a massive
That's what
market.
the Cardinal Stadium did on the west side there. Like they call it Westgate, if I remember. When it was out a ways, obviously. They never were downtown because Sun Devil Stadium, although that is within 5 miles of downtown Phoenix, but that wasn't downtown Tempe. So you can get ways around it without it literally. And I think that when, hopefully not if, the Millers do this, it will be one of those ways that'll be around it, and it'll actually be an attracting area. People will go there to do other things besides go to the game. The game obviously will be included. Wrigley Field has done that too on the one side of the stadium. They've put up a bunch of stuff. They already had it on the front side, but down the left field line side, they've built a whole bunch of stuff there too.
Our question of the morning, if Steve Kerr is done, what is his legacy? Donovan Mitchellstan says he's one of the most influential basketball figures of the last half century.
What does that mean?
I don't know. As far as a player, he was at the cutting edge of the three-point shot. Probably would have had a better career if he'd come along a little later. Hard to argue since he ended up winning 5 championships, but I think he would have had a bigger role.
He was just a bench player. He
barely started in his career at all. Came in, shot threes. Yeah. Corey, a coach who didn't screw up the super teams he was handed. Nothing more, nothing less. I actually know Corey.
I think there's got to be more than that. You got to give him credit for winning.
Yes. And for keeping it going. I mean, 4 titles over about a decade, that's pretty crazy to be at the top that long, especially because some of the years in there, they were wrecked by injuries.
And he had to deal with Draymond. Come on.
He did. Took some real talent there.
Yeah.
Got caught with a mic once. I'm so tired of his bleep and bleep.
I don't blame him.
I know, right?
Yeah.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're all done. Scotty G and the coach are up next.